listen to Rudy Radio, powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. I'm Terra Renee from African American Women in Cinema organization, and this is Talk with Terra, a show that highlights fantastic filmmakers, artists, and entertainers and business owners from all walks of life. We're committed to introducing you to individuals, organizations, and projects of which you're not necessarily aware. And we do this with the intention of uplifting, empowering, and enlightening you. If you can, please share this episode on all your social media platforms. We'd also love it if you can text your friends and ask them to tune in. Feel free to ask questions, make comments, and/or share your thoughts at any point during the show. We promise to respond. Today, I have the awesome opportunity to introduce to you one of the most powerful voices in the film festival industry, Miss Marcel Reid, who is the founder and director of the Whistleblower Film Festival. Miss Marcel, how are you?
I'm fine, Miss Terra. How are you?
I am doing well. What an honor to be speaking with you today. Thank you so much for coming on my show and giving our listeners the opportunity to hear you and all the wonderful things that you are doing. So excited to share that today. So Marcel, can you please tell the audience about the Whistleblower Film Festival?
Yes, perhaps I should back up a little and tell them first about the Whistleblower Summit that the film festival grew out of.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I became a whistleblower in 2009-10. I really didn't know what that meant because I didn't actually know what a whistleblower was. It was a term I had heard loosely, but I never thought it would apply to me. I worked with an organization. I've found that they had been not living up to their motto, and in the process had started to pull money away from very poor communities, which has been the focus of my volunteer work in the length of time that I've been doing it. I was on the board of the organization. We got a phone call. The New York Times broke the story.
Wow.
And after the New York Times broke the story, we tried to put the organization back on equal footing so that it would serve its mission, which was to serve the disadvantaged. That never worked out. As a result of that, I wound up getting death threats. Wow. And it was my first immersion into what really happens to whistleblowers. And when I was there, because I had organized, I noticed that most of the whistleblowers that I dealt with were having a very difficult time adjusting. And it was because they never adjusted that I started to notice that perhaps we would do better if we found a space where we could share what we had done and not be ostracized for it. Subsequently found out that the fastest way to make enemies and to become isolated is to tell the truth. Which is something I don't think most people run into. And because our language is so narrow, we call everything the truth. So I always tell people, telling your friend that her slip is hanging may be a little difficult. But telling her that her husband's cheating is completely different. That is the difference between what people perceive as public truth and telling things that actually whistleblowers do tell. So out of that, we started something that had been going on for years, but had been suspended. It was called the Whistleblower Summit. It wasn't called the Whistleblower Summit. It was called the Whistleblower Week. Yeah. And then in 20 2012, actually, Michael McCrae and I took it over and we rebranded it as the Whistleblower Summit for Civil and Human Rights, because I wanted to show that whistleblowing was an integral part of our civil rights study, of our civil rights battle. Whistleblowing is intrinsic to civil rights. It's intrinsic, it can't be separated. Whether it is racial civil rights or group civil rights, whistleblowing is essential, just like the justice system does not work without whistleblowing, because there has to be someone willing to tell the truth. And telling that truth sometimes at great personal risk. Without whistleblowing, these things don't work. So after we started the summit, we used to have a film night, and every single summit we would show a film. And we would talk about it. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I thought about it and I said, well, of all the film festivals I know about, there is no film festival for whistleblowers. And it took me about 3.5, 4 years to finally get it up.
Wow.
Yeah, and I could not have done it without Michael. I want to be very honest with this. And he said, you know, she pushed me for a long time, and finally I realized what she was talking about. And I wasn't talking about a film night. I was talking about movies, documentaries. And I did that because I remember watching all of these films. And when you get down to the basis of many of the great films, like On the Waterfront or The Heart of the Fall or Serpico, or all of those films essentially are about whistleblowers. And people didn't recognize that. And one thing I've learned to do as an organizer is to take everyday events and make people see how they relate directly to them. So when you see those films, all of those films are talking about whistleblowing and the ramifications of whistleblowing.
It's amazing, Marcel, this whole world, if you will, that you've uncovered. And truthfully, the first time that I had learned about it in this detail is through your work. What really drew me in was the level of persecution that these whistleblowers face once they share, and like, you know, you organize it so well, it really draws you in to listen to their story, and you know why they felt the need to say what they had to say, and then you know what they endured. So that was really it took a real strong impression. It was a real strong impression on me. Did you had Marcel any idea when you launched this where it would lead?
None. I really didn't have any idea. I just knew that we all talk about society being better. I know it's all of my life, I've always heard people say, I wish things were better. But the answer to things being better is that someone has to try to make them better. And the best way to do that is to start out by telling the truth. Right.
Well, on that note, we'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to Talk with Terra, presented by African American Women in Cinema, right here on Rudy Radio.
I am Madame Francois, and I'm introducing my new luxury skincare brand that's available to you at an attainable price. Discover my beauty secrets, luxurious, effective ingredients with proven results and a price tag that doesn't break the bank. Come indulge with me at lesmadamefrancois.com.
Rio Confetti, international Formula One driver. I spent to get to Long Island Telecom before they closed. I need to get one of these fantastic deals that Long Island Telecom has, because you can't beat the price anywhere else. Oh, get away from that car. What are you doing? Freaking kids playing with the car out there. Anyway, I'm glad I got here. Wait, what do you mean you're closing? I got to come back tomorrow? What's your number? 631-833-9679? Oh, stop writing me a ticket.
Welcome back to Talk with Terra. I'm Terra Renee from African American Woman in Cinema. And today we're talking with Miss Marcel Reid, founder of the Whistleblower Film Festival. And she was just explaining to us how her journey brought her to where she is today. And basically, she didn't realize it would bring her to this point, but she answered the call to enter this journey for those who are certainly following in her footsteps. Marcel, could you give us an example or a story of one of the filmmakers that you had participate in the film Whistleblower Film Festival? A success story. That's what I want to get at, meaning that they created their film, they were able to get it seen through your festival, and their outcome, or have it transformed them, or have it assisted them in any positive manner.
Yes, and I'd like to do that first of all by telling you about our first festival, which was actually occurred in 2019. You were there, Terra.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I think because of COVID, it slowed everything down. So even our responses are coming late. But let me tell you what it did do. First, it put whistleblowers as a genre in front of people for film. So that now people, it's not just a niche anymore, the way it had been for so long. It was simply a niche, and people made a film. And I'm sure some of the films that I've listed to you earlier, you don't think of as whistleblowing films, but they are. So we started off with a independent film called Official Secrets. It starred Keira Knightley, and it was produced by Gavin Hood.
Oh, yeah.
And that let them have an opportunity to meet many of these directors that we had for the summit. From that, we have now had directors who have listened to the stories of whistleblowers that attended the summit, and they have started to work with it. So right now, we have 3 films from independent filmmakers in development.
Wow.
We have 2 people from Netflix, 2 different producers who work with Netflix, who have reached out to various whistleblowers. And we've tried to set up a network where whistleblowers can contact an organization much like yours, African American Women in Cinema. And those documentary filmmakers have an opportunity now to a plethora of whistleblowers, and they don't have to search for stories, because we have whistleblowers from every field, from medicine to IC. So it means independent intelligence whistleblowers. So on any subject, just about, you can contact us, and we will put you in touch with the whistleblower that comports with whatever story you're trying to tell. And the directors, the independent documentary filmmakers, are starting to use this as a platform for showing their films. So as you're well aware, last year we had close to 100 entries from all over the world. And you were kind enough to provide us with people who would review some of those films. And those filmmakers can now connect not only to the people who reviewed their films, but they can now have their films admitted into other festivals throughout the country.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is great, great. And Gavin was very impressed with his film and his work, but he was also the director of the X-Men, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Very, very nice guy.
Very nice guy.
Did he explain what drew him to direct that documentary that he did that you premiered?
Official Secrets.
Yes.
He had heard about the story of Catherine Gunn, who was, and we. It turns out that he is also an attorney.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So, what I have found on the periphery of entertainment, I'm from Compton, so the periphery of entertainment is that very often artists see the world much more clearly than other people do. I think I was discussing this with you before.
Yes.
And so there's a natural affinity for entertainers and artists with whistleblowers, because the pursuit of both, from what I've always heard, has ultimately been truth. And artists have a way of presenting that truth in a way that's palatable for people who couldn't otherwise absorb it. And because of that, they use their gifts, of course, to make money and seek fame. But very often, the other side of that story is they pursue it to tell the truth. You know, to make people more aware. So I really think that is part of what drove him. It's certainly something that Keira Knightley was committed to. Ralph Fiennes was in the film. He was committed to it as well. And we never thought that they would return our inquiries. I remember back in January, when I had heard about the film coming out initially, I had told Michael McRae about it. And when we reached out to them, we were no one. We were just, just this fledgling film festival, and we were in Washington, D.C. And the thing that made us different was that we had access to Capitol Hill. We had been holding the summit on Capitol Hill for years, and we did that specifically so that lawmakers could not say they didn't know about the issues that we were exposing. So it's very easy to tell the truth somewhere where no one can see you. It's completely different to come to the front door of the people that can make the decision and have a party on the front lawn. And that is essentially what our summit was doing. We were coming to Washington, we were going into the buildings, and we were sitting in rooms that senators and congressmen had allotted us to sit in to tell stories that were very important to people who normally would not have their stories heard.
Yes, and let me tell you, Marcel, I was impressed, to be able to walk up on Capitol Hill, and I was smiling from ear to ear saying, I'm going to a powerful film festival here at Capitol Hill. And to be able to walk in and see, now she's our vice president, but to be in the area to see Miss Kamala Harris when she was a senator, her office, and it was just such a powerful feel when I walked in that area, in the building, and listened to these equally powerful stories. I tell you, that was very, very well organized and planned and executed festival. On that note, we'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to Talk with Terra, presented by African American Women in Cinema, right here on Rudy Radio.
Hi, I'm Dan O'Shea, Executive Director for Maureen's Haven Homeless Outreach. It is our mission to support the homeless in our community. We provide an emergency winter shelter program, a day center, and support services to help the homeless in our community. With your help, we can continue provide services so critically needed to the homeless in our community. Please visit www.maureenhaven.org or call us at 631-727-683.
I am Madame Francois, and I'm introducing my new luxury skincare brand that's available to you at an attainable price. Discover my beauty secrets, luxurious, effective ingredients with proven results and a price tag that doesn't break the bank. Come indulge with me at lesmadamefrancois.com.
Welcome back to Talk with Terra. I'm Terra Renee from African American Woman in Cinema, and today we're talking with the powerful Marcel Reid, who is the founder of the Whistleblower Film Festival. Miss Marcel, I just so proud of you. Right before we went to break, you were talking about where you had your film festival, and truly I was thoroughly impressed. But I want to just talk a little bit about the location as it relates to what the nation recently experienced on January 6th, the insurrection, and having had your festival there. When you saw that, what really, how did you feel when you saw that?
So we try to bring people to DC to first make the city not an obstacle, but rather a platform. I mean, we all pay our taxes. And I like to tell the people who didn't pay taxes, don't worry about it, reparations didn't come through. So we... So you by rights are standing in your building, and you need to recognize that none of this is not accessible to you. You need to realize that this country functions as a result of your hard labor. And none of these places and none of these people should be beyond your ability to reach or see, or at least find out how to access them. I felt violated. I felt that, and I think people don't know the depravity of what happened on Capitol Hill. I think they think it was confined to a couple of people screaming and, you know, throwing a couple of antique pieces of furniture around. But there was desecration. I mean, there were people wiped the walls with feces.
Oh my Lord.
So it was a total desecration and disrespect shown to the country. And it was very difficult for me because I come out of street organizing. I know that, you know, we could have never done anything approaching that and lived to tell the tale. It would not have occurred. And I have events there every year. And we utilize the National Press Club. Then we turn around and we utilize the Mott House, which is right across from the Supreme Court. And then we go into the U.S. Capitol building. We have lunch very often at the Supreme Court. And we hold our events on all of the buildings on Capitol Hill, from the Dirksen building on. And no one would ever have thought about doing anything like this out of respect for the people and the government. We know if we don't know this is an imperfect union, who does? And yet, with all of the anger that we have, it has never crossed our minds. We're whistleblowers. It has never crossed our mind to desecrate the buildings.
Wow. Wow. You know, when that was happening, my nephew, who really haven't expressed to me in any way, shape, or form his interest in politics. Certainly, being in tune with, or following rather, what goes on in our country in that magnitude, meaning, understanding Senate hearings or paying attention to it or wanting to listen to it rather, wanting to listen to confirmations. But when he saw that insurrection, he really reached out to me in horror. And that's when I began to realize the magnitude of the effect of what these people were doing. And I could only, just imagine, being able to have a film festival there, and then you turn around and see it being vandalized in that way. I just could only imagine. And like you said, certainly when I was there, just no thought like that crossed my mind, that anything could ever happen in that manner. So
I just wanted to say, pardon me.
No, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to say, I think when we're all kids, we've heard the tale about the princess and the pea, right? And I know when I was in college, they used to talk about something called a J curve. The people at the top of the J curve were very impatient in life, and the people at the bottom had been mistreated for so long, they didn't understand that. And I really thought this was a J curve activity. I thought this was entitled people who were screaming, you work for us, we own this building. And I'm thinking about the whistleblowers, many of them Black people, who actually did the work on the building, who actually never were recognized. And it was just a sense of total entitlement. You didn't do what we wanted you to do, so we'll tear the system down. And our pleas from the street, listen to us, hear us. It was completely different. And I was deeply saddened by it. Not just that it happened, but I've been saddened by the fact that more hasn't happened in response to it.
Yeah. And it's almost like that needed to be exposed so the world can see what we've been contending with and dealing with and speaking with all along, has been brought to the forefront in this modern age in that way. I want to talk a little bit more about some of your, actually, where do you now, since we are dealing with the pandemic and, our new administration is doing I believe they're doing a lot that they possibly can to get us through to the other side, but clearly it will take a while. Where do you see you taking the festival going forward?
I think that for this year, as last year, it will have to be on a web-based platform, as it was last year. And you were good enough to help us with the reviews and all of that. I believe we'll be using the same firm. We're discussing it right now.
Good.
And it will be a week or 2 week event. So that means you can turn to the festival whenever it's convenient for you. And you can watch the films in various categories. But we're also going to have the live panels as we did before. Because I think we can never lose sight of the reason for the festival. The reason for the festival is to highlight the stories of whistleblowers. And the only way we can encourage people to blow the whistle and tell more truth is if we show them that at the end of this, they can survive it. I think there's been a lot of there's been a lot of people who have focused on the rewards that whistleblowers receive. So
yes.
I've had people say to me, well, you're really basically no different than the people you blew the whistle on. They did it to cover up something, and you did it to gain from it monetarily. But I can tell you, 99% of whistleblowers never receive anything. It is not for money. You're telling the truth because the truth is the right thing to do. And whenever you conflate the right thing with the monetary thing, people only hear about the money and they don't understand why you did it. 99% of the people who blow the whistle will never get a dime. As a matter of fact, they will lose money. And I have a researcher you might like to speak to at some point in the future on one of your shows, who talks about the elevated rate of suicide among whistleblowers, the elevated rate of bankruptcies, marriages are destroyed because of whistleblowing. It affects absolutely every nook and cranny of a person's life. And they should be aware of that. And we want to make it easier for people to tell the truth, because we think that by telling the truth, it will be easier for society to function.
Marcel, I'm so grateful you did share that story, because it's true. A lot of what have been exposed is the monetary gain. And so that is an interesting, notable fact. 99% don't get that. You hear the millions and millions of dollars settlements. So is there a way, have you thought, I'm sure you have, thought about creating some sort of a fund for these whistleblowers who come out and are just devastated behind this?
I have not given it a great deal of thought, and let me tell you why. One of the ways that whistleblowers are often harangued is through any way of raising funds. So to do this, which is an excellent idea, Terra, that you just came and saw that and recognized it immediately. But yes, we have our summit is thrown every year. We get no outside funding at all. It is funded completely through us and the donations of a few people, but we carry the ultimate weight for it. And we do that every year because we want to make sure that this platform remains available to whistleblowers, and we don't want it to be influenced. And one of the problems we have when we seek funding from anyone is they want you to expose the truth about every other organization in the world, unless you run into something with theirs.
Well, you know, on that note, we'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to Talk with Terra, presented by African American Woman in Cinema, right here on Rudy Radio.
The COVID-19 pandemic has changed our lives, but one thing that hasn't changed is the need for routine vaccinations. Vaccine-preventable diseases like measles, flu, and pneumonia haven't gone away and can cause serious illness. Protect yourself, your family, and those around you by staying current with routine vaccinations. Talk to your healthcare professional and stay up to date on all recommended vaccines. Learn more at www.nfid.org.
Welcome back to Talk with Terra. I'm Terra Renee from African American Woman in Cinema, and today we're talking with Marcel Reid, founder of the Whistleblower Film Festival. Marcel, could you please give words of insight and encouragement to those who are following in your footsteps, meaning that They want to assist whistleblowers. That's part one. Part two, words of encouragement to those who feel that they need to move forward based on information that they see, but they are afraid to come out and speak about it.
Absolutely. First of all, I'd like to say that we work with two groups in Washington, D.C. One is called GAP, the Government Accountability Project, and the other is the National Whistleblower Center. Mm-hmm. When I blew the whistle, I did not know that there were specific constraints that would have protected me. And so they have two guides that are available that will tell people how to blow the whistle and maintain their lives, which is what a lot of whistleblowers don't do. So part of the reason for the summit every year is because we want to encourage you to tell the truth, but we want to encourage you to do it in a way that doesn't harm you. So let me give you a number that people can call.
Okay.
If they need additional information, we'll be happy to put them in touch with someone. The number is 202-370-6635.
Excellent. Could you repeat it one more time, Marcel?
202-370-6635.
Excellent. And what about those who are following in your footsteps? What words of inspiration and encouragement can you give them?
I would tell them that it may seem impossible at first, but that is only for a moment. Yes, that good work in the bitter end is the best work. It is. Ultimately, the only thing that lives beyond us is the good we do. And the reward is, it may not be monetary. They may never see a penny, but they will know that what they did was for the right reason, which is the reason that we give pillars every year. This year's pillars was given to a man named John Strimmel. And John Strimmel was a man who was harassed in the service. He had a son, and when he sought somewhere to go, there was no provisions set up for men who had been harassed in the service, only for women. Well, he's brought legislation forward now, and he will ostensibly help thousands and thousands of people. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help the most people with the least harm to the whistleblower. We hope we can encourage other people to do this. And as my granny used to say, you don't have to do everything, but you have to do what you can.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Marcel, can you give our audience your social media handles where they can follow you, and also if you have any information on your next web festival, could you please give that information?
Yes, it will be hosted. The website will be updated in maybe another week and a half, 2 weeks, with specific information. But I'll give you the website now, and then they can check back in a week and a half, because as you know, everything we do is done by volunteers. So the website is whistleblowersummit.com.
Okay, okay, that's beautiful. I don't know where the time went, but they're telling me that we have to go. Thank you so much for listening to Talk with Terra. I'm Terra Renee from the African American Women in Cinema organization. You can visit us online at www.aawic.org. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Talk with Terra is made possible by Rude Rangers Entertainment. Our creative director is Rudy J. Breedy. Please don't forget to like and share this episode with as many people as possible. We sincerely appreciate you joining us today and wishing you continued peace, blessings, and prosperity. See you next episode.